Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Dave West, and welcome to today's webinar, where we're going to be talking to you about Google Mobile algorithm update that occurred April 21st. I'm going to host the session today, talk to you a little bit about mobile myself, and then our chat moderator is Claudette Stiven. She's online right now. In the chat window there on the lower right-hand corner of your webinar jam, go ahead and type in there right now. Just say hello to everyone, a little shout out, and um, I'll go there in 1 second here too and just check and see if there's any technical issues. So I'll just going to unmute our co-hosts today. Claudette, can you go ahead and just unmute yourself, and um, Melissa, unmute yourself. I'll just do a quick introduction. So guys, I'm Dave West. I'll be your host today, and I'm the founding partner of Cake Marketing, a Google partner agency. I've been working with small and medium-sized businesses now for, gosh, going on 20 years. And with us is Claudette Stiven. Claudette is an internet marketing advisor with Cake also. And Claudette will be our chat moderator today. She's going to help us in terms of keeping me focused. She'll chat with you folks. And from time to time, I'll ask Claudette, what's going on in chat? Does anybody have any questions, any hands up, that sort of thing. So, and our guest today is Melissa Gregory. Melissa is with Sept Communications. Melissa is prepared to present for us today, and so she'll be taking a short portion of our agenda to talk about mobile communications in the workplace. So, Claudette, welcome, and Melissa, thanks for joining me.
Hello.
So we're already getting familiar with the chat room, and down in across the top, there's 4 icons: chat, attendees, polls. You may not see the attendee section. Under polls, I will be running a poll. I'll push it out to you in just a few minutes to ask you a question. I'd love it if you would participate. And down there, you can see where you're going to be chatting. The chat box at the bottom, pretty straightforward, type and chat, but if you have a question, check the little box that says mark as question. That'll help make it stand out from the rest of the chat. So why doesn't I see lots of people chatting there already, but why don't you all go ahead and say hello and maybe introduce your business. Joe, I see you got sound now. That's good. Okay, perfect. Excellent. So it seems like we're overcoming all of our technical issues, so let's get into today's agenda. So housekeeping out of the way. Let's talk now about what we're going to cover off in today's session. I'm going to try to be as succinct as possible, try to be focused, and get you all back to work as soon as possible. But before then, let's give you a ton of really valuable information. So April 21st, Google's mobile-friendly algorithm update rolled out. We did our first webinar now back then to talk to people about what was coming and what had to be done. So today is about an update, about just sort of revisiting that and seeing where we're all at. And mobile workplace, what's the right technology, what the right technology means for your business. That's the topic that Melissa will be addressing for us. And I'm going to talk to you about your existing website for a minute, teach you how you can see if it's mobile friendly. Not everybody knows if their website's mobile friendly. And then the 3 options to prepare your website. So I'll talk to you about if it isn't mobile friendly, what you should be looking at. And then the very last thing I want to introduce you to, just very quickly, I want to introduce you to Google's new concepts around micro moments and the impact that it's having on businesses. And honestly, I'm really excited about that because it's really kind of cool. The concepts are really, I mean, they're so obvious, they're cool. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. Ian Carrington of Google said, in the United Kingdom, 51% of people have a smartphone. He went on to say that he pointed out research from Google that shows that over 90% of all media interactions happen on these screens, with 38% of those on screens. Daily media interactions were occurring on smartphones, so 38% of daily interactions on smartphones. That means that this year, the use of smartphones to access information on the internet has surpassed or exceeded the use of desktop computers. I have citations here if any of you want these articles later on. He went on in his keynote speech, and in this article, he went on to say there are now more people on Earth that have access to a mobile phone than have access to a toothbrush. I think Claudette will remember that. It was we were all sitting in a Google Partner Connect event and kind of sat back in our chairs and went, "What? Really? Oh, wow. That's like, don't know how quite to take that." But more phones in the world, more people have phones than toothbrushes. So what happened on April 21st? Well, Google changed their algorithm. Google's a big old massive machine that goes out and scours the internet and looks for triggers and events in order to rank websites and businesses to be found. On April 21st, Google rolled out a change in their algorithm that basically said if your website is not mobile friendly, there is a high likelihood, now it's not guaranteed, but there is a high likelihood that your website wouldn't surface in organic search. And that is a big issue. So we know that that occurred starting April 21. We'll be expanding our use of mobile friendliness as a ranking signal. This change will affect mobile searches in all languages worldwide and will have a significant impact in our search results. Consequently, users will find it easier to get relevant, high-quality search results that are optimized for their devices. That is a direct quote from Google. We call it around here the word of Google. Now, something that declarative is pretty important. Now, Google makes lots of changes, and there are literally hundreds and hundreds of ranking factors with Google's algorithm that we don't know for sure, that Google does not tell us about. They're secrets. But we do know that when Google will write a definitive statement like this, we're pretty sure that it's going to hurt websites that aren't mobile friendly if they're not ready. Now, back in the webinar that I did in just around April 21st, I presented this slide to you. And I said, so what do we stand to lose if you don't go mobile? In other words, if your website isn't mobile friendly, what are you going to lose? So by looking into website analytics, we can quickly start to understand what the potential drop in traffic was going to be, because in Google Analytics, we can see this data. And so here's an example of a website that stood to potentially lose 60% of its monthly visitors if it wasn't mobile friendly. Now, in this scenario, the data you're looking at is an example of a website with an industry that clearly has a very high number of mobile users. Not every business is going to have such a huge number of mobile users. To put this into perspective, the statistics you're seeing on your screen right now are for a tattoo parlor, and it is in Calgary. And so these guys absolutely needed to have a website that was mobile friendly. Otherwise, they're going to lose like all their visitors. So fortunately, we did a recent update to their website, and it was made to be responsive before April 21st, and they didn't see a drop in traffic. Here's a much more typical small business marketing to consumers, and again in the greater Calgary area. And as you can see, these numbers, 51% of visitors are on the desktop computer. And what's interesting here, though, is that 48% of the visitors are on mobile or tablet devices. And one of the other things that's really interesting, especially when we start looking at Google's writings around mobile moments and micro moments, is that a lot of these visitors might be the same people, because what's happening is people are often using multiple devices through their decision-making process. So they might start off at their desktop computer in the office, and then they might look at your website again at lunchtime on their iPhone or their Android device, and then they might go home and use their tablet while they're sitting watching television and do more research. And so really one person, as they work through their micro moments in their decision-making process, may actually be visiting your website on multiple different devices. The digital marketing agency Stone Temple Consulting found that non-mobile friendly websites suffered from the changes in the search algorithm. So I wanted to actually go and find some actual evidence. And so this group did research based on about 20,000 websites and the related analytics. The original set of non-mobile friendly URLs got nailed. They could see the drop in impressions in search. Nearly half of them dropped in rankings after the updates. So these, definitely people were losing ranking. When Google tweaked its search engine algorithm in April to favor websites it considered mobile friendly, initial reports found actually little impact. And so what we found out is that it took time for the algorithm to actually roll out. So while they were warning us April 21st was D-Day, it actually took about 30 or 40 days, depending on where you were in the world, for those algorithmic updates to occur. And so Stone Temple Consulting, again, a digital marketing agency, studied more, so it's 50,000 websites for a month after the changes kicked in. It found that non-mobile friendly sites fell in Google search rankings, while mobile friendly sites actually gained positions in search rankings. So these new studies suggested that Mobilegeddon, as it was coined, was actually a big deal for advertisers, and it just simply took a little while for people to all see the impacts. Tamara Gaffney, an Adobe analyst with Adobe, Adobe Systems, was quoted as saying that Mobilegeddon fears have come true. And this was reported on the Wall Street Journal blog. The changes to Google's search algorithm prompted many website operators to alter their sites. And of course that did happen. We got really busy before April 21st helping people convert their websites to be responsive. To assure that the sites, they wanted to ensure that their website remained visible to Google, and those were good, good on the people that had time to make the changes. So the question I have for you folks that are here with us today, and I'll turn to chat for a minute. I'm going to push out a poll. The question I have is, did you have to take any measures prior to April 21st? Did you take any measures? So the poll is live now. Go ahead and flip over there, enter your answer to that question. What did you do regarding mobile friendly update? And I put in a few responses there. One of them is other, though, because I assume that some people maybe were innovative, or they maybe already had something going on there. So if you choose other, if you could go ahead and just type in the comments then what you did, that'd be really cool if you could share that with us. And I'll come back. I'll share the poll results with you here in just a few minutes. All right. Now, I'd like to introduce to you Melissa Gregory of Sept Communications. I invited Melissa here today to talk to us about mobile trends in business communications. And her presentation is titled Mobile Workplace: What the Right Technology Means for Your Business. Melissa, I'm going to turn the floor over to you now in just a second, so go ahead and share your slides and get yourself ready. And folks, while Melissa's getting ready to share her slides there, I'll just let you know that after Melissa's chat, I'm going to go through just a small number of slides, talk to you about remedies in terms of mobile friendly, some of the things you can look for, some tests you can run on your website to ensure that you're not losing traffic in terms of mobile responsive accessibility, so on and so forth. And so stay tuned for that, and then we'll conclude soon after that. So Melissa, go ahead and share your slides for us. All right, and make sure you're unmuted and you are good to go.
Great. Well, hello, everyone. So my presentation today is the mobile workplace and what the right technology can mean for your business. A lot has changed, obviously, in the workplace now that mobile phones is a predominant way of telecommunications, and I'd just like to share some information with you. So the 2015 forecast from the International Data Corporation says that the U.S. mobile workforce has been growing and will continue to grow at a steady rate over the next 5 years. By the end of 2020, IDC expects mobile workers will account for 3/4 of the total U.S. workforce. Why might this be? Well, we all know that workers are more productive when using mobile phones inside or outside of the workplace. Innovations in mobile technology are enabling workers in ways that have never been seen before, enhancing communication and workflow. Another consideration is that smartphones, tablets, and other devices are now more affordable, becoming new line items in today's business IT and operational budgets. Combined with the growing acceptance of corporate bring-your-own-device programs, staff members are more likely to purchase a device knowing it can be used at home and at work. 62% of workers surveyed currently use their personal device for work. 72% believe that businesses should support and enable the use of personal devices for work. Brian Bassett, research analyst at IDC, says mobility has become synonymous with productivity, both inside and outside the workplace. The mass adoption of mobile technology has cultivated an environment where workers expect to be able to leverage mobile technology at work. He then says, this expectation will need to be supplemented by new solutions, specifically intended to manage the challenges associated with the growing needs of the mobile workforce. So you may be thinking, what's in it for my business? This sounds like an expensive IT project. We've talked about the obvious factors of productivity, but what about money? We know that mobile technology is a big part of today's IT and operational budgets. But wait, what about BYOD? 72% of the workforce wants to use their own smartphone? You mean the smartphone where they pay for the monthly usage, the upgrades, and the replacements? Enter new solutions. Today's business telecommunication and networking solutions enable your business to harness the power of BYOD, while carefully minding security, privacy, and monetary concerns. In recent IDC surveys, 69% of polled enterprise stakeholders saw a reduction in OPEX and CAPEX costs as a result of implementing BYOD programs. Let's paint a picture. You take a call at your desk, but you need to leave for a meeting. With the push of a button, that call is now switched to your smartphone while you leave the office. On the way to your meeting, you remember you need to call an important contact, but you left the number on your desk. Well, you can use your office phone app on your smartphone to access the call logs from the office and pull the number from the redial list that you made on your desk phone. After a meeting, you look at the office phone app on your smartphone to see that you have a few missed calls. You listen to the voicemails and need to call the client back. Using the app, the call to the client shows the caller ID of your office, not your personal cell phone number. Plus, the call doesn't use up any of your daytime minutes, nor any long distance minutes. Let's say you reach your client's voicemail, but in 10 minutes, they call you back on your office number. The call rings to your desk, but you're not back from your meeting yet. Not to worry, the call will ring right through on your office phone app on your smartphone. Now is the time to discover the effect that BYOD can have on your business. Please reach out to me for questions, a copy of the slides, and any citations that you'd like to see. Thank you so much for your time, everyone.
Well, thanks, Melissa. I really appreciate that. I'll just have you and Claudette unmute yourselves for just one moment, and I'll ask the room, first of all, if anybody has any questions for Melissa. And Melissa, one of the things that you talked about that I've heard a little bit over the last year or so, maybe a couple of years, is this whole concept of bring your own device. And I personally think that it really speaks to the fact that everybody is connected, they want to stay connected, and the road between technology business and technology personal life has really crossed. And so this concept of getting a company phone and having two different devices is just almost nonsensical today.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially from being right out there in the workplaces, I've heard from the staff members that it's very inconvenient to have two phones in your pocket, being carrying around both of those devices, especially with the whole iPhone versus Android preference war. Let's say we have an individual who is a die-hard Android user, but now the company delivers them an iPhone. Obviously, that employee is going to much rather use their own Android and feel more comfortable and knowledgeable in using it.
Right, yeah, and so I imagine too that most businesses then are implementing policies around how they connect to the networks, the security, like you mentioned, security, antivirus protection, how they're locking their phones to protect it. Because gosh, if you lost your phone and somebody could all of a sudden make long distance phone calls through your PBX, it wouldn't be very good necessarily. So lots of things to think about, and I really do appreciate you taking time to put that presentation together for us and sharing with us. And Claudette, are there any questions there in chat?
I do not see any. Nope.
All right, no problem. Folks, I closed the poll already. And so if you go under your poll tab, you'll see the results. And so the question was, what did you do regarding mobile-friendly update? And 33% of people in today's room said, no, I did nothing. One said, I had my update, 17% said I had my website upgraded. 50% said my website was already mobile friendly. So kudos and congratulations to you folks, because that's, it was really important. It was always really a little bit important, but when Google changed the algorithm, it became critical. And then nobody responded to others, so no specific contributions in that area. So there you go. The poll results are there for you to have a look at, and just kind of interesting. So I'm going to go through a few points. If you even when you are told your website is mobile responsive and mobile friendly, there can still be issues with it. So I would like you, after today's session, go over to yyc.tips/mobile, and it's just a shortened URL. It'll redirect to a phenomenal tool that Google has provided, where you can actually test your website's mobile friendliness. And what we found, because we did a ton of conversions leading up to April 21st, and what we found is that, well, our developers thought that the website was mobile friendly. We still were getting errors back when we were testing, because there would be, for example, one image on the page that was staying large, it wasn't scaling down, or a YouTube video embedded on an inner page that wasn't resizing because it was fixed width versus variable width. And so those elements that were not responding in a responsive deployment were making the website fail in terms of its mobile friendliness. So as website owners, I think it's critically important that you go out and do your own tests and see what's actually going on. Don't just take the geeks, I'm one of those geeks, don't just take our word for it. Pop over to Google's mobile friendly tester, and you should get awesome, that page is mobile friendly. Test them all. Go through at least your primary web pages. So this is a great way to test. If you're not certain that your website is already mobile friendly, you can use this mobile friendly tester by Google. Yeah, so enough said about that. Here's an example of a website that was deployed to be responsive, and you can see a responsive website basically scales down from full size web browser size all the way down to fit into smaller devices like iPhones or Androids. And so this is an example of a Calgary restaurant. It's fully responsive mobile, and notice the responsiveness of the mobile version. The layout includes a text-based phone number, because when you get into a responsive deployment and you scale down, recognizing that those people are on a phone, putting a text-based phone number on your website will ensure that people will be able to click to dial. And I think it's a very important conversion objective to consider when we're talking about mobile. So there are really three options that we all had leading up to April 21st. The first option was to make our website adaptive, so we don't touch the existing website, because really honestly, to convert an existing website, especially a more complex e-commerce store like this one, for example, to convert that to mobile responsive would have been quite a large task. But having a secondary adaptive website, so two different distinct websites, one for desktop, one for mobile, is a solution. And frankly, this is what was happening as a norm 4 or 5 years ago. It was the solution to mobile. Uh, so that's adaptive. It's when basically you go there. If you're on a phone, the phone will send out a signal. The browser detects that it's a mobile phone, and boom, sends them over to a mobile adaptive site. And these things are relatively easy and could be very inexpensive to deploy. So for those of you who haven't done anything yet, this is a solution that can occur literally within a couple days. The second option, and stated very clearly by Google, is this concept of responsive websites. And a responsive website is a website that scales from desktop to laptop all the way down to a phone. And it's basically one website that responsively scales down and works on all devices. So that's a responsive website. All right. Now, where am I at here? Pardon me. The very last option that I presented when we talked about this at the beginning before April was that you can do nothing. And so that I alluded to this third option is to do nothing. If you look at your site analytics, find that only a very small percentage of the overall visitors are using mobile devices, then you may consider not doing anything. But it's not recommended, because as we know, the trend in terms of mobile use is only going up, and it's going to continue to go up. And so you should be planning or budgeting to do a proper responsive redeployment of your website. Remember that what you stand to lose if you don't go mobile friendly is that traffic that's currently coming to your website. And so by looking into website analytics, again, we could quickly understand what the potential drop is in your traffic. And so if you have Google Analytics on your website and you don't know how to go in there and analyze the before snapshot versus the current snapshot. If you'd like us to go in and do an analysis for you, it only takes about 15 minutes. We'll do that for you over a remote desktop sharing session, get you in and just sort of have a look and see what's going on. So there you go. There's a free offer for some consulting. What I'd like to do now, I'm just going to conclude with a couple slides, and like I said, I'm kind of excited about this micro moments concept. And so basically, this is where Google is really pushing in terms of their paid advertising platforms. They're really talking a lot about these micro moments and the stages people go through in their buying, purchasing, researching processes through these funnels, if you would. And so people evaluate purchase decisions in that moment. And 82% of smartphone users turn to their phone to influence purchasing decisions while they are in the store. So, just in chat, maybe you could all just respond. How many of you recently or sometime in the last few weeks have found yourself in a retail store pulling out your phone and doing price comparisons with the product or looking at specifications for a product while you're standing there in the store? So that's a micro moment where people are researching, doing price comparisons, or literally looking for specs and information. People solve unexpected problems in that moment. So 62% of smartphone users are more likely to take action right away towards solving an unexpected problem. So if you have an issue, there's a high likelihood that you will take your phone out and try to solve the problem. I know for years, when my boys were at home, we used to have wiki debates. We literally would get into a discussion at the dinner table, and all of a sudden there'd be 3 or 4 phones out, and we'd be checking online to see who's right and who's wrong. People pursue big moments. Oh, sorry. People pursue big goals inside of small moments. And so what Google says is that 90% of smartphone users have used their phones to make progress towards a long-term goal or a multi-step process. People try new things in routine moments. So 91% of smartphone users turn to their phones for ideas while doing a given task. So how does this impact us and how do we plan for it? And so going straight back to what Google's talking about, they're talking now about having to recognize these moments that your customers go through. How do they think? Try to identify with a set of moments that your customers go through, and then evolve your web marketing strategy to answer or solve or address those moments in time that your customers are dealing with. And of course, it doesn't take long for you to connect the dots and say, well, gee, yeah, that's kind of like if I understand the moments, if I create this moment map for my business and I understand my customers' needs through the processes that they go through to actually engage us, I'm actually really creating an excellent platform for them that's going to convert visitors to potential clients, because as we know with digital marketing, the more concise and precise we are at answering people's questions or fulfilling their needs, the more likely they are to convert and become our potential clients. So understand customers' needs in the moment, use context to deliver the right experience. In other words, attract people to the pages on your website or in your social strategy that are going to address them in that moment. Optimize across the journey, and what Google means by that is recognize that a person in their moment may actually use multiple different devices to address their needs. And so all you have to work towards having a web presence that is responsive and or adaptive so that they're getting what they need in a mobile friendly manner. Across the journey speaks directly to how people use multiple screens and the channels to reach decisions. So ensure you're not creating competing spaces. Make sure you're clear and concise and that you're addressing those moments. Immediately after today's session, sign up to get more information about Google Moments. If you go to yyc.tips/moments, you can sign up for Think with Google Micro Moments, and they're doing all sorts of research into this stuff. They're syndicating out all sorts of quality content. You got to subscribe. If you own websites and you're doing online marketing, subscribe to this stuff. It's really very, very interesting. So Claudette, any questions happening there or over in our chat? Nope. Okay. All right. Let's nail this down.
No questions, no.
We all know that our goal is to address the need to be mobile friendly. Most of the people in today's session are mobile friendly. Some of you are not. I welcome those of you who are not mobile friendly, or those of you who might find problems with your responsive deployment, to reach out and give me a call. We'd be happy to run some tests and help you in a consultative manner. We have 3 events coming up that I wanted to mention before I conclude today. On September 23rd, we're hosting a full buffet breakfast at the Willow Park Golf Club. Beautiful venue, great people. It's really one of our premier events with Google, because Google, our own agency reps, will dial in live on a Google Hangout. We'll be able to chat with them, talk to them, and they will be doing a small presentation for us. Following their presentation, I'll do a short talk, and just come out, do some networking with us. I do know from looking at the RSVPs, there's still about 5 or 6 seats available for that event, so come and join us. On September 24th, we're doing another webinar, and it's to talk about using social networking to attract top candidates online. So if any of you or any of your colleagues or clients are in the business of attracting good people, or if you're looking to hire in the near future, you may want to subscribe or RSVP yes for that webinar. And then we're doing, at the end of the month, September 30th, a Google Partner Connect. And Google Partner Connect, again, it's another live event. Come on out, get some Google swag. It's a networking opportunity over coffee and some muffins. And Google will be dialing in and doing about a 25 or 30-minute presentation. And, Claudette hasn't missed one yet. And man, every single one, even I learned something new. They're just exposing us and our guests to some of the sort of the top leading information available in terms of digital marketing and online advertising. So please do dial in. And I'm Dave West with Cake Marketing. I have on there a shortened URL, yyc.tips/David. I really would welcome any of you participants here to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll welcome your connection. And also, if you pop over to our Facebook page at yyc.tips/Facebook, like the page, that's where we post all of the information about upcoming events, trends in digital marketing, all sorts of great information that we share with our friends and our clients. So please do like us on Facebook. Melissa, go ahead and unmute yourself. You too, Claudette. Melissa Gregory from Sept Communications did her keynote with us today. I'm so thankful to have Claudette and Melissa here to help participate with me today. I'm Dave West, and thank you for taking the time to visit with us and to sit in on the webinar. If you enjoyed today's presentation, absolutely go over to Facebook, like the page, so that you know when the next events are, and we'll keep you up to date over there. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Thanks, Claudette. Thank you, Melissa. I really appreciate you participating today. And to the folks online, thank you also for your patience and for participating. It was really a pleasure to have you online there. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation.